So I'm going to dive into, and I think we've been really, really hard on the criminal justice system this week, but appropriately so. We have some true breakdowns and some true failures at every level. We've focused a lot lately on the judicial level, what's happening in courtrooms with activist judges. I have a few more stories about that coming up, but before I thought we'd focus on something positive. See, undivided. So in the city of Everett, which is pretty progressive, they are one of the cities that decided once state lawmakers finally put a drug possession law back on the books and made it a gross misdemeanor, Everett, unlike the city of Seattle, is like, okay, yeah, we're going to make sure that we have that in our municipal code so we can enforce it. And they are. And I love to see it. Here's the article from My Everett News. Everett Police Department South Everett Emphasis Patrol books 15 into jail for drug and trespassing violations in a 4-hour period. It says 15 people were booked into the Snohomish County Jail during the 4-hour emphasis on a variety of violations of Everett's municipal code, including loitering for the purposes of drug activity, trespassing in the second degree, outstanding warrants, and SOTA violations, which is stay out of drug area. It said of the 15 people arrested, 9 of the bookings included knowingly using a controlled substance in public. How do you unknowingly use a controlled substance in public? I'm curious about that. It says that is a law back on the books, both under Everett Municipal Code as well as the Washington State Statute, recently having taken effect following a special session of the state legislature this year. So remember we talked about on the show either last week or the week before that new gross misdemeanor law at the state level is now fully in effect. So what does the city of Everett do? They said, hey, police officers, let's go out. Let's do some emphasis. Let's enforce this thing. Let's arrest people. And I will also note, they offered services to individuals. And that's always the best thing is like, hey, you appear to be addicted to drugs. What can we do to help you? As we know, though, in a lot of those attempts at outreach, because they had social workers who came out with police officers, which is also very appropriate for something like this, we have seen time and time again that people are usually so out of their mind that they're not in a position to accept access to services. And so they'll say no. And so what did Everett PD did? Brought them down to the slammer. And look, do I think that these are people who need to spend hard time in prison? Well, I don't know what their outstanding warrants were, maybe in some cases, but for loitering, trespassing, for using drugs in public because you're addicted to drugs? No, I don't think that's hard prison time, but I do believe that having that interruption in that crisis in your life is important. And sometimes it's a forced interruption by you're going in a jail and maybe you're going to detox there. It's probably going to be miserable, but maybe that is the moment of clarity you need to turn your life around. And I say that from experience in terms of speaking to people on the streets. I have said, I should pull up this old story I did. I did this story on this young kid. He'd been reversed with Narcan by police many times in downtown Seattle, had been arrested many times when they were actually making arrests in downtown Seattle. And the last one is what woke him up. The last one is what woke him up, got sober in jail, and then we did this reunion with him and the 2 Seattle police officers who arrested him that last time in Westlake Park, where he comes back with his brand new wife, their child. He's 40 pounds heavier, doesn't look anything like his old booking photos. And it was just this glorious example of what can happen when you give someone a little tough love and they have a moment of clarity to turn their lives around. So can we get a Nicole? Thank you. For the city of Everett, for using common sense and compassion. This is compassionate. It is compassionate to pull people out of the squalor that they're living in. It is compassionate to tell those people, we are not going to let you kill yourselves on our sidewalks. So good for them. I wish more cities would do that. City of Seattle, I'm talking to you, where the problem is undoubtedly the worst.